In June 2023, a state of emergency was declared all over China. The deadly scenario had arisen from a mix of dangerous factors combining, causing devastating, record-breaking floods, droughts, and starvation all over the country. Chinese emergency services rush to the scene in an aid to do what they can, but they are overwhelmed. And whilst the CCP government panics from the top of its ivory tower, refusing international aid effort, the desperate people are silenced on social media, their words drowning, just like the people. Welcome to my dissection of the disgusting CCP behaviour during this horrible time, this flood in China. Let's have a look. Firstly, I need to explain what the heavenly mandate, the Tianmin, is, so that you can understand just how angry the Chinese people are and how they've gained the courage to stage an uprising against such a murderous regime as the CCP. Now, they have an undeniably murderous record against their own people. It must have taken a miracle of God, literally an act of God, to get the people of China this angry and this mobile. So let's have a look at that. Let's explore why that might be. Now, try and cast your mind back 1,000 years before recorded time, 1057 before Christ. The world was unknown, navigation wasn't a thing, gunpowder wasn't a thing, paper wasn't a thing, and the Chinese believed, having predicted and seen two very rare celestial events, that this gave rise to a God-born leader, a king or an emperor for the nation. Floods and other disasters, in much the same way, or in the reverse way, therefore meant that God was taking away that command, so the mandate of heaven is lost when there's a big flood, specifically that affects the government. And that's what we're seeing now, ladies, gents and Pikachus, because the floods have been so bad, they've actually gone pretty much all over the bigger areas, and the governments have seen the floods as well, so they've withdrawn all their resources, and they've left the people high and dry, if you'll excuse the poor taste pun. I'm a big boy these days. I'm 42 years old, but I look at these pictures with a tear in my eye. Really, it almost does choke me up to look at it. The government is directly responsible for this. All of it. They could be accepting international aid. They could be offering aid of their own, rather than looking after their own people and ignoring everyone else. It's disgusting that the media aren't covering it more, really. Whose responsibility is it to tell people about this? Mine? From my bedroom? This poor chap has lost everything, and it's the third time that it's happened to him. Now, he's had his house bulldozed by the government to build a bridge which is now destroyed by floods. And underneath that bridge were fields of food, which fed everyone in that whole town, so now they've got nowhere to live, no food, and the government are nowhere to be seen. But even now he's not broken. He's telling people about his plight, he's trying to look for help. Well, what more can he do? He's doing everything that he can. This is what people don't know about the Chinese. The CCP make them all feel and look terrible and behave like like Soviet gangsters. It's ridiculous. But the Chinese people, although they're not at liberty to say anything, I don't think they agree with it at all. I think if it was up to the Chinese people, if the Chinese people had a democratic vote, well, even halfway democracy, something like what Taiwan had 5-10 years ago maybe, if they had that, things would be very different. Perhaps we will see real change now that the supposed mandate of heaven has been shown for the sham that it is, and the people are in revolt. What hope can the world offer this man here? They have no internet, no power, no food, no government help, they can't call out to anyone, and they're just being ignored and left to rot. And it's all very well showing pretty pictures of rescue queues and people leaving the country, but this is not what's happening. It's all propaganda. Nobody's allowed to leave. Nobody's even allowed to take money out of the country. And when you think about the amount of international aid they've already had, development funds and such, this is all they can do to evacuate people. They put them in cattle trucks and just bust them out, and it's a minimal amount of people. It's not good enough. It's terrible, and the worst thing about it is no one's going to see this coming over there. They're too busy trying to survive now to think about next week, let alone in October. Have a look at the weather charts, what they're expecting the weather to be like over September and October in that region. And then think, look at the infrastructure. They can't even handle what they've got now. And they've got we're in June, July, we've got August, September, we've got 2 months, 8 weeks at most before the bad weather hits. God only knows what the death toll is going to look like if they also have to suffer a freezing cold winter, in addition to all these other problems. I think the only solution is going to be international aid. Somehow, somebody needs to reason with the CCP, with Xi Shinpingu himself. I mean, this is being ridiculous. He's literally starving the people out to prove a point to himself that's false, that we all know is false. It's ridiculous. The people know it's false, they're just not at liberty to say anything. You know, they don't want to get killed on their doorstep or see their family go the same way. This dude here is supposed to be a township leader. This is the best they can do, is to shout at people, berate the townspeople for panicking and having nowhere to turn. It's hopeless. I mean, if it was here, I'd say, you know, I'd give like a powerful kind of speech, like a sermon almost, and say, God will help you out. You've just got to be patient and strive for what you can do. You know, keep going, effectively. Just motivate people. But Christianity's illegal in China, along with every other type of religion. In fact, the Uyghurs are suffering a terrible genocide before this flood hit them as well. So, China is no friend to hope. China's CCP is like the enemy of hope, so the only source of hope is going to be you and me and other foreigners, international helpers, volunteers, sending aid. And that brings me to my final conclusion. Why is the aid there but not being sent? Well, it's something to do with the bankers. Our bankers here can't be trusted, their bankers there can't be trusted, the mediator bank between those two can't be trusted. And so the cocktail of international corruption seemingly is never ending. So unfortunately, ladies, gents and Pikachus, I shall have to leave the video here. I don't have a solution. It's just a call to action. Let's keep an eye on this. Let's not let our guard down and see if there's anything to be done, lobbying MPs, the media, anyone. Because I don't feel like the CCP are going to do anything more than watch the people die and suffer. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Bye. Bye bye.